All right, so we're back for another off-program day with the other dungeon coaches. I'm here with Chervyn today. She's our mobility coach here,
Hello.
which is a thing that I do regularly, but not something that I've worked with a coach on specifically.
Yes.
So we're going to go over some front rack mobility today. But Chervyn, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do here at Dungeon?
Yeah, so I have been working on mobility. I'm a 200-hour certified yoga instructor, so I've been working with different people's anatomies and their mobility and not just flexibility. So people kind of confuse what flexibility is with mobility. And flexibility is your ability to get your body in a different position using outside mechanisms, right? So I can lift my leg higher if I'm using my hands. But mobility is my body's ability to just come up to the, the same angle without any assistance. So the more you work on your flexibility, the more you work on your mobility, it kind of comes hand in hand, but it's very important for lifting. As a power lifter, I know that if my mobility isn't there, sometimes my depth isn't there for squats, and sometimes my lats aren't engaged for bench, and then I'm just not as strong and not utilizing my body the way I need to be. So, yeah.
All right, so what's our game plan for today?
All right, so we are going to start off on the mat. We're going to work on a couple of breathwork exercises. So we're just going to breathe into our back. So you're going to work on the thoracic extension, but also into our sides. So a lot of people, we don't breathe into our sides often, and that's where your lats are, and that's why people are very stiff right here. So we're going to start off there, and then we're just going to keep moving and work on our shoulder mobility and our wrists.
Cool.
Yeah. All right, so first things first, I'm going to have you on this mat. So I brought this ball. And if you're doing it at home, you can grab a pillow or a cushion. And all you're going to do is you're going to place it here, and you're going to hug it close. And then you're just going to feel your breath as you inhale and feel the back of your ribs expand.
Okay.
So this is going to kind of eliminate the ability for you to breathe into the front and focus more onto the back.
Should this be more on my chest or stomach?
Stomach. There you go. Roll it in. So you're going to take some nice deep breaths. So you want to expand, expand, expand. And when you feel like you can't breathe in anymore, just take one big sip. And it's really important that we feel that breath in that low back as well, because when you're bracing, a lot of people don't brace into their low back, and that's how they get hurt. And big exhale when you're done. All right, let's come back up. I'm going to have you come into almost a assisted side plank now. So on your knee, your back leg is out. I want you to place your hand on your rib. So same thing, you're breathing, but now you're feeling that breath into that rib cage. So expanding into that rib.
So this is like a
Yep, there we go.
Am I trying to like stretch through here?
Yes,
Or just...
so deep breath into here. And so once you get used to that, I'll have you do 2 more breaths. You're going to, 1 more breath. And then as you inhale, you're going to lift your arms straight up into the air. So point the hands towards the sky. So you're going to lift up, inhale, and then exhale, reach over the head. There we go. Every time you inhale, you want to lengthen up, and then exhale over. There we go. Beautiful. How does it feel? There we go.
a little bit more access.
Yeah. And when you're ready, do the arm extension as you inhale, and exhale, reaching over. Beautiful. So as you extend and lengthen, you're going to give your body more space to be able to move. Nice deep breaths. There we go. Beautiful. How are we feeling?
This feels nice, actually.
Yeah. So it's very overlooked because when people think mobility, they want to do all these different exercises with bands, with weights.
Yeah.
The very first thing we do as a human being is breathe. The more we breathe, the more space we're allowing our bodies to be able to inhabit. So when you expand, you open up your body more. So,
Cool.
yeah. Okay. So now you're going to get onto all fours. We're going to work on our cat-cow real quick. So as you inhale, we're going to think the same thing as lengthening, right? So we're going to pull the arms back like your hands are on a skateboard and you're trying to pull them back.
Okay.
And instead of just bending at here, I just want you to think, I'm going to reach my chest forward and look up. So a lot of people, when they do back bends, they just want to like bend, and that's going to affect your lumbar. Because of our spine, it's thinner at the top, so your cervical spine, your thoracic spine, it moves better than your lumbar. So we always want to think chest forward, chest nice and proud, and that's how we work on that thoracic extension. So as you inhale, reach that chest forward, pull the arms back. There we go. As you exhale, you're going to push against the ground, arching just right up here. Nice. Let's go back and forth. Yep. We're going to come back to that neutral spine. Keep your hands down on the mat. So we're going to work on our wrists a little bit here. So we're just going to gently lean forward. So our shoulders.
Can't see my shitty wrists. So I do have a wrist injury on this side, so I don't have a whole lot of extension, which I think is probably part of my front rack problem.
Just a little bit. So you don't want it to hurt, right? So if it starts to hurt, we're just going to lean back. What we're doing is we're getting our bodies comfortable with a little bit of that discomfort as we're stretching into it. So we're just rocking forward and back. There we go. Now let's bring the hands out towards each side of the mat. And you're just going to go side to side. So you might be able to sway to one side more than the other, and that's okay. You're working on that wrist mobility. Yeah, I can definitely see. It's okay though. You just got to work through it slowly. It takes time. And then now, palms are facing up. Your fingers are towards you, and we're just going to sit back. Yep, you can shake them out.
Whew. I don't know if I can get them.
Okay, that's okay.
There we go.
And you can just kind of play around with coming back onto your knuckles and then coming back down. So it's really good PT for your wrist too, to try to just slowly work yourself into these positions. You feeling good?
Yeah.
Okay. And then for a lot of mobility, I like to do one side at a time.
Okay.
So for me, I struggle like even with lat pull downs where I feel it more in my right side than my left side. So that's why I try to isolate one arm at a time.
Yeah.
So we're going to basically do the same thing here, putting your elbow onto that block and just sitting back until you find that lat engagement. And then we're just going to rock from side to side here.
Okay.
Coming back till you feel it in this low lat position here. And then once you feel it, I want you to kind of rock your body from side to side, keeping that position, going front and back with the hips. So you see how every time you breathe into it, you allow yourself more space to move back.
Yeah.
So that's
I like
gonna
that, like being intentional about that, because I feel like I focus on my breath while I'm doing mobility, but I don't focus on like the relationship between the two and like taking advantage of the breath to then do something differently.
So even when we do like prayer pose against something like this, every time you take a deep breath, you're creating that space in your sides, and then as you exhale, you can kind of scoot yourself down a bit more.
Yeah, cool.
So once you get comfortable in the discomfort, take that deep breath, expand, and then be able to sink down more.
Cool.
Yeah.
Felt nice.
See, mobility's a good thing. It It makes you feel better. It's just like, sometimes it's hard to be like, all right, I'm going to go to the gym and do more. Because people come to the gym, they're like, I want to lift weights, I want to do heavy stuff. But like, this is gentle, but it's going to get you where you want to go with your strength training.
And that felt more effective because I feel like when I like stretch and do mobility, like I'm just kind of like forcing my body into positions. Like I'm just going to like force this stretch until it's like make it uncomfortable and like hold it for a certain amount of time. And that feels more like intentional about what I'm doing. So like I got more out of that in a shorter time than I would like just hanging out in the lat stretch.
Yes, and that's the big thing is like the more intention you put into engaging those muscles, the better it is going to be for you, more effective it is for you for your lifts, for your everyday movement. It just makes more sense. People will just like go like this and you're not stretching anything, but if you're inhaling up and then stretching, then you're actually going to feel what you need to feel in the sides.
I think it's the same as like lifting and accessories and stuff. You can like coast through a movement, or you can like be intentional about what you're doing.
Workouts are so hard.
Yes, they are.
Okay, so we're also going to work on a little bit of your shoulder rotation.
Okay.
So that's a big thing when you're trying to front rack is getting your shoulders to move in the right position.
Yeah.
So if you're not loose and mobile in your shoulders, it makes it harder for you to get the elbows up and for you to really just. So we've worked thoracic, right? So now we want to be able to bring
and I feel like that's where I feel the most discomfort when I try to front rack. Like there's a lot of things that are obviously tight and bound up, but I think what I feel most is that lack of rotation because I feel like just torque on my shoulder and elbow joints, and I think it's that rotation that's like the biggest thing preventing that.
So I like doing this for my bench press. I do 3 different things with the same band. So I get the band right here in my shoulder. So first thing is I just do shoulder rolls, right? So you're pulling against, when you're pulling against resistance, it kind of trains, it strengthens that mobility, right? So then when there's no resistance, this is a lot easier.
Yeah.
So I like to do shoulder rolls, and I usually do about 10. And then after that, to work on that scapular retraction, protraction as well, I reach forward. I try to keep the traps down, and I reach forward with my arms, protracting and retracting as I go. And then the last one is moving in. So this way you're going through all different motions for your shoulder. So you're working on everything comes down, your traps are down, and then reaching across.
Are you trying to keep your scap retracted as you come across, or do you want to let it protract?
So here I'm keeping it retracted and retracted.
Okay.
The whole time. And I might have to move that higher because you're taller than me.
No.
Just a little bit. There we go. So you're going to step away until you feel that resistance. And then you're just going to arm on the side, gently roll it up and down. Yep. So we're adding some movement here, allowing our bodies to just access that different range of movement.
Oh, that feels nice.
Yes. 10. Okay, now we're going to have our traps down. We're going to just reach forward. So you're going to come back, retract here, and protract reaching forward. There we go. Exhale as you reach forward.
I feel like I have muscles working that didn't exist until today.
Just the tiny little muscles we don't use. And then obviously the more you do this, the thicker the band you can use, and it just gets easier every time you do it. And then keep that trap down, and then you're just pulling your arm across your body. There we go. This will be a good way to keep your shoulders nice and healthy as well, especially because strongmen, you guys like to press overhead a lot. There we go. And it all starts at your front rack position, right?
Yeah.
If you're set right, everything else will just pop into place.
I feel like my shoulders just always have problems because of the fact that I can't front rack, and then the more problems they have, the harder is to front rack, and they just like spirals off of each other. But I actually have like some time, like off season right now, to fix it.
I know. Like, oh, I guess.
I actually really like this because I feel like I have people do versions of like scap retractions all the time.
Yeah.
And this isn't a version that I've done before, and I really like it better than most of the ones I do.
Yeah, I started off like when they said like, oh, scap retraction, protraction, it's just doing like the, plank.
Yeah.
And a lot of people aren't able to isolate just
Like
the
this is a
scapular.
lot easier to just focus on what I'm trying to do.
I'm gonna reach over. There we go. You pick things up so quickly. This is nice. I don't even have to really adjust you.
You can do it bad on purpose if you want.
No, please don't. I'm trying to help you out, Aaron.
Give you something to fix.
So like I said, I like to do one arm things. So this one's just easy. You're working on being able to pull back with just your lat. So a lot of people, when they do this, they want to pull with their arm, right? So instead, we're going to lean over, have that nice brace, and just engage the lat and pull with the lat only.
Okay, so range of motion is pretty minimal.
Yes, really small range of motion, but it's going to be able to engage, and then when you don't have that resistance, go. So just with your lats. Yep, so you're going to feel it tighten right here. Nice. You just have big traps, so it just looks like
They're always there.
yes, you've got all the muscle. It's like these little exercises that make your whole body shake, and you're like, why? There we go. One more time, take a deep breath in, really feel that lat expansion. Now pull with the lats only. Yep. There we go. Much better. Whew. Yeah. Whew. You're like, oh, okay.
Oh, working out. I didn't know we were training today.
I'm sorry. I said this would be easy. So it's going to be similar to what we did on the blocks. I just want you to do this because accessibility-wise, this might feel better to you than being on a mat with a block. And then it just depends on like what people have, right? If they're at home, they might have a couch they can use or a dining room tabletop. So pretty much the same thing where you can just take a deep breath and exhale, sink deeper, right? So as you inhale, you're going to feel the expansion. As you exhale, you can sink back, sink those hips back. So.
And you always just do one side at a time,
Yes.
usually? Yeah.
So nice deep breath in. There we go. And slowly hinge back. There we go. Yep. Find that position that's going to allow you to really expand. Oh, it's a weird thing to think about, but it's like in mini golf, how you have to like find that entrance. You're trying to open up and find that spot where you can actually stretch back a bit more. So that's why we want to be intentional with our breath and to be really in tune with our bodies so we know how we can shift without hurting ourselves, but also get that best mobility stretch that we want. Beautiful. Whew. So one last thing I want you to think about, because you do prayer pose a lot, right?
Yeah.
Do you ever do it with a PVC pipe? So when you play around with doing your prayer pose, most people kind of have their hands parallel to their elbows, so they go like this.
Yep.
Right? I want you to play around with bringing your elbows in and then your arms out, because it's going to work.
Feel more of that rotation too.
Yes. So you're going to work on more rotations in those arms, and then out, the hands in. And that's going to work on more of inside, right?
Cool.
So every time you shift your hand position and your elbows in, it's going to work on a different part of your chest and your back. So
cool.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Awesome.
That was great.
That's it, I swear.
All right, so another good session. I think biggest takeaway for me, obviously some really good exercises that I'm going to start doing because those were all great. But good takeaway is just that in all the mobility work that I've been doing, I probably just haven't been putting the right intention behind it, and probably a little bit like coasting through it a little bit more than I need to be. Kind of the same thing we talked about with Saul and the bodybuilding and accessories. People kind of coast through movements and then wonder why they're not getting bigger. I think it's kind of the same here, that if you're not putting the same effort and intention into your mobility, it's not going to improve.
Yes, and like working your mobility and your flexibility, it's a very active thing. So you have to be really engaged and focused on what parts of the body you are trying to work on, right?
Yeah.
So if I'm working on my lat mobility, I really need to think, am I feeling this in my lats? And pairing that with your breath is so important.
Yeah.
Because, and that's something you can practice too when you're driving, right? Like feeling your chest expand and your back expand when you're driving, taking that deep breath in and then exhaling. So everything you do is going to create more space if you breathe.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's fun.
Thank you.
All right. Appreciate you.
Yeah.
All right. As always, like, comment, share, all the things. Let us know in the comments if there's anything else you want to see, and I'll see you next time.